Welcome back to Doll Events, where we like to talk about issues that impact the doll collecting community. I'm your host, Gypsy, and today I wanted to get into a slightly touchy topic that has been eating away at me for quite some time. It's the subject of collecting dolls as an adult. The reason this topic gets to me so much is because A, I am an adult who collects dolls, and B, so many of our adult viewers here on YouTube are affected by this subject. Let me just state for the record, although you guys who follow us extensively know this already, Broken Barbie TV is not a family-friendly channel. We do not cater to every age group here. We welcome everyone, of course, but our focus is to create an atmosphere that is welcoming to grownups who collect dolls, and even older teens who people would probably expect to have grown out of dolls by now. So whatever we decide to cover or talk about here is 100% geared to adults. And if you are a child watching and you don't really understand something we're talking about, I'm sorry. You'll understand when you're a little older, but I'm not going to water down my speech to articulate myself better to children. It was very necessary to reach out to some of my fellow collectors who are really into dolls and connect with you guys who take this hobby as seriously as I do. You see, we adults who play with dolls are often seen in a very negative light. This goes for any kind of doll collector, not just for fashion dolls, even baby dolls like reborns, action figures, masterpiece dolls, which are like life-sized, child-sized dolls, just whatever kind of doll you might like, ball-jointed dolls, all that good stuff. When people outside this community look at us, they often have some judgmental attitudes about us. For instance, they may believe you collect dolls because you're a sexual deviant, living out your fantasies through dolls. Or maybe you are crazy and believe your dolls are alive. They may think you have social problems and would rather play with dolls than be around real people. They might think you are severely immature and haven't grown out of a childlike state of mind. Some people think collectors are traumatized by the loss of a child and are replacing their deceased kids with dolls. Oh, and how about the folks that think we actually are hoarders who are obsessed with amassing humongous collections until we can't even move around in our own homes because we're buried under a pile of dolls? And then we also have some people that think that if you are a male doll collector, you're either a gay man expressing your feminine side through dolls, or you're still in the closet and trying to cry for help to the world because you're in denial about your homosexuality. But we're gonna get into that particular subject in a totally different video. I know I'm leaving out a lot of other stereotypes that go along with the subject. You guys can leave those in the comments so we can all have a laugh at how ignorant some people can be. What kinds of stuff have people said to you about your doll collecting? Now, I want to do two things here today. First, I want to address why we in the doll community should stop paying attention to these negative images and discuss some of my own personal experiences on how I deal with this. Because yeah, I do go through this too, all the time. The second thing I want to do is talk to the friends and the family of people who love dolls and maybe shed some light on how these people can find some understanding and middle ground in dealing with us collectors whom they just can't seem to relate to. The reality is, doll collecting is simply a hobby. There are many, many reasons why people get into doll collecting. I can tell you about my own reasons. I've been a doll enthusiast before I ever started collecting a doll. I don't know if that really makes sense. Probably not, but to those of you who think like I do, you know exactly what I'm talking about. For me, dolls represent people, and as an artistic and creative personality, I've always been able to appreciate beauty in people. I love looking at people with all different types of features, like hair colors and textures, eye colors, shapes, body types, height, skin tones, whatever. This probably has a lot to do with my own struggles growing up as a mixed race person, not really knowing where I fit in when it comes to a physical racial identity. I didn't see many other children that were the same mix as myself, Korean and black. Just my little sister, and I don't really count her because she's my sister. So it was hard to recognize myself in others. I didn't relate to people on a physical level like the people around me did who were part of only one race. For example, when I was a kid, I lived in Korea. It's a homogenous land where most of the people have similar features. Even now, I can look at a picture of like 10 Asians and pick out all the Koreans in the photo. Outsiders may think that they all look alike, but I always can tell the Koreans from other Asians. So likewise, Koreans also knew when they looked at me and my sister that we weren't quite like them. Most of the Korean kids I grew up around made fun of us, and they made us believe that we were ugly. They teased me for my skin color, my curly hair, my black father, and called us all kinds of names. Shame on them. I mean, who knew years down the line that K-pop would be so heavily influenced by black people music, right? Yeah, I bet those kids wish they would have been nice to me now. Long story short, I saw represented in dolls what I didn't always see in my own environment. Diversity. I could see how a doll could pass for a mixed person like me. The right combination of tan skin, wavy dark hair, and almond-shaped eyes could make a world of difference. And then, as I got older, I realized there was so much more beauty in different features of people. Everybody has something special that's unique to just the people of that particular race and culture, and even a mixture of races. I just loved how I could capture that in a doll. I didn't see many dolls in my youth that were diverse enough for my liking, but I did see the potential in creating my own dolls that met my standard of diversity. Do you know what I'm saying? Well, it's called pretending, using your imagination, and why should a person ever grow out of that? I always had a grand imagination as a child, and it never really went anywhere. I just funneled a lot of my imagination into my performing arts hobby and my doll hobby as well. So, for me, dolls are an expression of my creativity. I dress them, I pose them, photograph them, and display them in a way that I can use my imagination and convey a message through those images. And when I look at my dolls, I get a sense of calm and peacefulness that feels like I can finally exhale this breath I've been holding in for a really, really long time. They're like a therapeutic release for me. They soothe my psyche. I will never grow out of dolls, and I hope that I never do, because that would mean I'm losing my creativity and imaginative spirit. I never want to lose that part of myself. Have you guys noticed how crazy big the ASMR community is on YouTube? If not, look into that. You will be flabbergasted at the types of things that people are into to help them relax or to fall asleep. But for me, dolls are my ASMR fix. They do relax me. When I would get stressed out as a teen, because I had a crazy childhood, I would shut myself up in my room, undress my entire doll collection, redress them, restyle their hair. Then I would pose them on my shelves in new positions that told little stories that I would think up in my head. Nobody else saw these dolls except family members that would happen to come in my room, but it wasn't for everybody else. It was just for me. It made my space more relaxing to me, and that's all that really mattered. I know that many of you who collect dolls do so for your own reasons, and they're not necessarily the same reasons that I have for collecting dolls. My point here is that it doesn't matter what your reason is. If you're not harming other people with your collecting habits, if you're not spending all the money up that's supposed to go into your household or to your kids' mouths in order to enjoy your hobby, then you shouldn't feel bad about it. Don't feel ashamed about it, because people in your life don't understand or accept your love for dolls. If a person can't accept you for who you are, then they're not worth getting worked up over. That says more about their own insecurities than about you having some problem. How come a person can smoke cigarettes while driving a car filled with their own children and not be judged for that? You're gonna spend the last $10 in your pocket on a pack of nicotine-infused poisonous sticks that you breathe into your lungs while poisoning all the people in your immediate vicinity, while you laugh at me for brushing a doll's hair? How come a guy can collect magazines full of pictures of naked women whom he will never, in a bazillion years, even spend a half of a second in the same room with, and nobody thinks that that's weird? Meanwhile, that same guy can look at us and say, ugh, you're putting all this thought into what you're gonna name a plastic toy? You freaks. Come on, are we really gonna worry about what people say about our hobby that is completely harmless when there are people who actually argue, fight, and miss work to watch or go to sports games? It's a freaking game. You're getting so worked up over it. People will decorate their entire house with sports emblems, and then other people just be like, yeah, he's a Yankees fan. So why do we care what other people think about us being Barbie fans or fashion royalty fans or being team brats. I mean, it's basically the same thing. There's no difference in any other hobby. To my fellow collectors who struggle with being taken seriously as a doll collector, let me assure you, this was not meant to be understood or accepted by the world. Some people have a limited imagination, and that's just what it is. It's too hard for those people to let go of their logic once in a while and then accept that it doesn't have to make sense why we enjoy handling dolls. They're not in tune with their emotions or feelings enough to appreciate that looking at a beautiful doll that evokes feelings of pleasure, joy, serenity, or any other positive mindset makes it worth our while to continue building and cultivating our collections. All you can do is pity these people because they're missing out on a wonderful world of beauty and sweetness that is like none other in the world of collecting. Alright, right quick, let me just get into talking to the non-collectors who may have stumbled onto this video out of curiosity, or maybe your friend who likes dolls told you to watch this part so you're humoring their crazy request for a minute. At first, I thought about explaining to y'all the possible reasons why the collectors in your life might be into this hobby. And then I said, bump that. We don't need to defend or justify this peaceful hobby to anybody. Let's just keep it real. Everyone who collects dolls, even the children, know that they're not real. They're plastic figures made to resemble people. They're meant for decoration or to be toys, and we know that. You ain't telling me nothing new, but so what? Don't you play with toys? Oh, you think you don't? Don't get it twisted. Just because a toy isn't made for a kid doesn't mean that it isn't a toy. A toy is simply a replica of something familiar that is meant for somebody to play with. Simple as that. You never grow out of your desire to play with things that entertain you. That's why you still watch sports games even though you're not on the field playing. That's why you still play video games even if you are not doing it with all of your friends and siblings like back in the day. That's why you play games on your smartphone that you downloaded in the form of an app. In fact, your smartphone itself is a toy because it's basically a replica of a computer that you can just hold in your hand. That's why you want a nice car with all sorts of extra features you totally don't need. That's why you play card games in your free time, or plant a garden to relax your nerves, or play fantasy football. What the hell is that anyway? That's why you doodle pictures when you're bored, or read books about magicians and vampires and romantic situations you are never going to experience in your lifetime. That's why you have Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime, and that's why you watch YouTube videos, for goodness sakes. Everyone has a hobby or two. Most of the time, they aren't practical. Why do you need an album full of stamps or rare coins? Why do you need empty wine bottles all over your house? Why do you have vintage furniture in every single room? Why do you collect so much makeup that you're never gonna wear and don't actually need? Why do you buy every new pair of Jordans that hits the shelves? Why do you write poetry or song lyrics or play an instrument? Why do you go out on weekends and party, get drunk, act a fool, then go to church on Sunday as if nothing happened? None of it makes any sense, but you do it because it's fun and it makes you feel nice and you get some emotional release from engaging in those hobbies. That's all it is. Collecting dolls as an adult is simply a hobby. It's not a replacement for the real world. We're not traumatized by events in our lives and don't know how to snap out of it. While we're on that subject, why do people get so worked up about someone who lost a child obsessing over dolls? Why does it bother you so much what those people do? If that's what soothes their pain and nobody is being hurt by their love for dolls, why do you want them to give it up so badly? Not having an answer to these kinds of questions are a red flag that you might have some control issues or some insecurities that you really need to work on before telling other people that they should stop doing something that makes them happy. After all, you don't want your loved ones to be happy? Oh, okay, you do, but just in a way that you're comfortable with. I got it. We have only one life to live on this planet. Even if you believe in reincarnation, you gotta admit this life is your chance to live it to the fullest until you come back as whatever you think you'll come back as, and you know that this is the life that will impact the next one. True? So however you want to look at it, this life that you're living right now is the one that you have to live to fulfill your own dreams, your aspirations, your desires. I'm not saying go out and rape and kill people because you really enjoy those activities. I mean, whoa, Nelly. Relax for a minute, right? I'm just saying, as long as you're not infringing on the rights of other people, it shouldn't matter how you like to entertain yourself, how you like to express yourself. You just have to be mindful of not offending people with a legitimate reason to be offended. Not like, it offends me that you play with your dolls all the time. Really? Would you get out of here with this self-centered mess? I hope this vlog puts some things into perspective for those of you that are watching, whether you are a collector yourself or a parent or a spouse. Stop being so judgy, even of yourself. Have the confidence to love what you love and don't apologize for it. If you let people dictate what kinds of hobbies you should have, next they'll want you to dress a certain way, talk a certain way, date certain types of people, live in a certain neighborhood, think in a way that they approve of, believe what they want you to believe. I mean, who are you? You have a right to be yourself in this world until the day you stop breathing and move on to the next world. We accept all collectors of dolls and toys here at Broken Barbie TV. We don't give a hot damn what color you are, what language you speak, how fly you are. Alright, maybe a little bit. I mean, a pretty face does help. I'm slightly biased, okay? Anyway, but we don't care how much money you have, what neighborhood you live in, or how you dress. We really only care that you're being true to who you are. I encourage you all to own your hobby. Stop hiding your dolls and pretending they belong to your kids. My daughter isn't even allowed to step foot in my craft area or go near my dolls. Don't feel bad. If you're a straight guy, I'm telling you now, join the internet doll community and understand that there are people like us out here that aren't assuming every male with a doll in his room is gay or in the closet. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the gay men who love dolls. They've kind of got a free pass to own this hobby without being scrutinized so much for it. But the straight guys are in a whole other category, dealing with some emotional crap that children, women, and gay guys really don't have to deal with in and out of the doll community. So come hang out with us here or over on Instagram and let's get some real baggage off of our chest. It's okay to talk about these things that trickle into our hobbies and take away from the full experience of enjoying our dollies. I appreciate you all for tuning into another episode of Doll Events. We've got so much dolly fun in store for all of you going into the rest of 2016. Be sure to tune into this channel more often so we can connect on a regular basis. Leave us some requests if you have a specific topic that you want us to discuss. I can't promise we'll get into all of it immediately because we have so much stuff to do around here and we do have day jobs to keep the rent paid, but we will try our best to address as much of it as we can. Shout out to my family in Korea, 수영이 모 and 할머니, my little cousin Junie, my uncle 홍배 삼촌 and his wife, my first cousins Wani and Yongi. We just lost our grandfather and I wish I could be there for the funeral and all of that, but sometimes it is what it is living in different countries. Why am I speaking English? They don't even understand me right now. 한국에 있는 우리 식구들 안녕. 다 보고 싶고 사랑하고 같이 있을 수 있었으면 좋겠다. 할아버지가 더 좋은 데로 간 거 알고 있지? 우리 모두 다 힘내자. 여기 세리가 다들 사랑하고 기도하고 있는 거 알고 있기를 바래. I'm gonna dedicate this episode to my 할아버지. Rest in peace. My love for dolls started as a kid when I lived in Korea. My family always supported my interests, even back then, despite all the teasing and ignorance from our society having us mixed kids in the family. I really loved them for empowering us to believe that we were beautiful, even though we didn't look like everybody else. And I wouldn't be who I am today without that kind of support. Wow, I'm really glad I got this off my chest. Again, thank you all for watching. And did you know that you can send us mail now? You can write us or send samples of your 1/6 scale projects and products or donations to the address on the screen, also in the description box. It's Gypsy, I'm signing out, and I really hope that this video helps you guys out there to have a dolly day.